NUKK up over 1,000% from yesterday's close. I'm going to show you how our indicators worked with this one and how you could trade this one with more confidence using our indicators to help aid in entry and exit. Of course, these are not buy and sell alerts. We want to use these in conjunction with our already built strategy, but we're going to show you how our indicators will work with this, guys. I'm going to turn on our indicators now, and right now you're going to see a mess of indicators. I've got the volume down below, which just quickly want to verify, yes, we have volume, green bars, green histogram bars, okay. So I can get that out of the way. Just keep that small like that. I just want to verify the color down there. Yes, green, that's high volume. That's what I'm looking for. Now I'm looking for these signals. If I zoom in on the chart on NUKK, we got our first alerts on this one very early on. This was at 8:02 a.m. Eastern time over here. You can see these green candles showing some bullish momentum. That would be our first area of value. And so if you're getting in from that level, we'll draw a line here. That's going to be your first entry price. It's going to be around 185 as this green candle is letting you know, hey, it's time to look for a possible entry. Maybe you missed out on that one. Of course, we had another entry over here. We'll break that down in just a minute. But 185 all the way up to the current highs. Let me turn off the indicator for a minute. So from this line, which is our entry line, all the way up to the high, that's looking at 872% from this alert. Now, if I pull over our Discord, you'll see that we have these alerts in chat this morning. If I go into our free chat here, you can see NUKK was from our Find It First scanner at 8:03 a.m. Eastern time. That was this morning. $1.70 was the first level alerted on NUKK, and $1.85 was the first key level that we're looking for to then hold above that level. It did hold above 185 and continued all the way to a high of 1766. And again, if we break this down, looking at this first alert, NUKK at $1.70, that's a really low price, right? Compared to what we're seeing here, $17. That's an incredible gain on your entry, and that's going to be your first, and that's going to be a scanner that looks for these type of stocks very fast and identifies that so that we can break down the chart and then start to look for key levels. NUKK was from today's squeeze potential channel as well. We have a channel that's going to label all of those key levels for that squeeze momentum that we love to see. NUKK was in here worth watching, close over 402, 440, 450. The reason we had a few numbers in here, or a few values, excuse me, is because we had a cluster of resistance, which is one of the red flags that we look at when trading the confirmation strategy and when trading with these indicators. So having those red flags there means that I can mitigate the risk by adjusting my size or look for an entry elsewhere or wait till it gets above this resistance at 450. So if we waited for 402 or 450 and we break down the chart, we'll label these here. Let's see, 450 is right in this area. I'll move this up a little bit. There's 452, and $4 is going to be just below that around here. So this is going to be our other area of interest. So if we're seeing anything above that, that's going to be our squeeze potential type of play. And you can see it definitely got that squeeze. Once we got above that area and that zone, we held and continued. Now, how do we trade it, right? So if we break this down on the chart itself, and I zoom in with all of these indicators, that looks like a mess right now. But if we zoom in on the 1 minute chart that we're typically trading, green candles, very simply put, the 1 minute bullish pivot pro is going to plot these green candles for you and let you know that this is identified as a bullish signal. So now we're looking for to hold above this pivot zone. So if I get in on that first signal, my key level is going to be this 135, 134 down here. If we come below that, I stop out and get out of the way. So clear indication of strategy here. Above the pivot zone is bullish, below is bearish. If the pivot zone was bearish, you'd see it in red. You can see it's green because we closed above that pivot zone. We now held that pivot zone and continued up higher. So even if you took it on this first trade, initial scanner alert, which is obviously very high risk, it's 18% in a single candle or two candles after, so 2 minutes. Continued to gap up here until we saw our next zone. So this would be our next zone right here. Once we see that, we're looking at 38%, pulled back. Okay, maybe we missed out on this first entry, and we're looking for another entry here. You can see it closed above this level. Yes, it had the BVT, which is a bullish vertical trend, something we want to be aware of. But we're above the flow zone and trending above it right here. And we are pulling back to the flow zone. We did close below, close back above. Got a little choppy in this area. We'll see where we get those green candles again in just a minute. But we can see this green candle here did close above. Major false break here, or topping tail, whatever you want to call that. and you can see that it moved up to about 23%, almost $1 per share from this candle to here. So that's within 4 or 5 minutes. Then pulled back and came back down. That was bearish momentum. Okay, we're looking to possibly short here. If you're a short seller, all of a sudden it's fading. Now we're seeing pivot zones. It needs to hold above the pivot zone for it to be bullish. We can see that's giving a pivot zone, pivot zone, pivot zone. All of a sudden, look, we now held above 185 is the current price. We held above that level, held this zone, giving us an indication that's possibly reversing. Got up here. We had a false break of this level here. It closed above. We did get a small move on this one. If anyone's scalping, you are getting yourself at the top of this candle here, almost 9%. So still a really nice trade, actually. That's a little bit more than a scalp, I would say. But this is within 2 minutes, so this has to be very quick. And of course, it did then pull back, close below the level. That would be a stop out. Close back above. There's your green bullish candle, letting you know that there's bullish momentum again. And again, we want to see it above these yellow lines for that squeeze momentum. Now, what's interesting about this green candle is that we closed above. We had the BVT, but we also closed above the flow zone. From here, we then held the flow zone all the way up until this next pivot zone area. And that's going to be a really nice move for anyone who took that type of trade. Get in on this candle. You're looking at 66%, almost $2, or excuse me, over $2 per share on your setup there. And if you missed out on that one, that's okay. Our indicator's looking for value in the market all throughout the day. So you can see this green candle now. Red candle is bearish momentum. Green candle, that's letting you know that's our bullish signal. We're looking at bullish momentum now. Pull up, and all of a sudden we're making another strong move here on this all the way to the top of this move before we saw this red candle. 21%, top of the move around 20, almost 30%, excuse me. Continued here, pulled back, red candles, green candle. Guys, you get the idea. It's repetitive, right? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for this type of price action throughout the day. That way we can capitalize on these type of moves. Now, I shut it down a little early, so I didn't catch most of this trade on NUKK, but our indicators are catching it. So whether or not I'm trading isn't as important. What is important is when I'm trading, I want to make sure that this is a consistent strategy. We can see it's pulling back here, red candles, bearish momentum. Then all of a sudden we're getting these breakup structure, pivot zones. It's holding above. That gives you an idea of where to stop out in case it doesn't hold. It did, continued, and as you can see now is now still green on the 1 minute bullish pivot pro, but this thing needs to stay above this zone. So if I mark this zone here line, just to make it a little visually easier to see, that yellow line is where we need to hold. So anything below that, this support right here, 1387, below that is bearish. And we can see that we are getting these overbought signals. Short watch, that's on the key level spotter, and that's what this is over here. It's predicting where it's going to bounce from and where it's going to short from. So you can see that as well. But beautiful price action, guys, on the 1 minute bullish pivot pro. If I turn this off and delete these lines, you can see again, this is a strong move. This is over 1,000% since yesterday's close, and our indicators showing you really nice value of how to trade that without getting caught in something nasty. You can see our alerts, $1.70. I mean, $1.70 alert on a stock that goes to $17, almost $18. I mean, it's so beautiful because we have so much time to prepare and be ready and understand that this is definitely something that we want to watch. And then, of course, having this in our squeeze potential channel, anything that's going to be in our squeeze potential channel is going to have a higher chance for that squeeze momentum that we're looking for. So I highly recommend setting these alerts. December 17th, we've got LAES, OPTX, PRTG, and then all of a sudden we've got KWE, and there it is. There's our NUKK, which closed above the 402 and continued. So just shortly after the first alerts we're getting in chat, if you're trading it off the scanner, you could do so. If you're not, waiting for those pullbacks and looking for momentum, that's what we're looking for, and we did continue to get that. Now, as the price gaps up, we will add more levels, NUKK over 440, NUKK over 579 and 604. And at this point now, looking at this chart with our indicator, it has to hold above this 14.15, and keep in mind that it has filled the gap to $17 and $17.50, half and whole, half and whole. So it did fill the gap to the half and whole dollar levels, and so really it's going to be high risk getting above this 14.15. We would love to see it back above the $17 and $17.50 for momentum. Now, if I turn on the confirmation support resistance, if I turn this on here, you'll see that we do have these predetermined resistance levels as well to look at above for historical resistance levels. So we do have these short levels around 1750 and 1856. So if we start gapping up, I would start taking profit in this area, possibly hold a lotto for continuation. And if we start to break out these levels above, we've got some very large gaps, which is of course very attractive to many traders. So guys, that's the breakdown on NUKK with our 1 minute bullish pivot pro key level spotter. And we also have the confirmation, support, and resistance. We have the trend IQ as well, guys. This is something that I want to make sure that everyone is in tune with. I'll make this huge to make it very easy to see on this chart. Let me get off the confirmation for a minute. All right, this is a massive example of this, but what this is doing is letting us know some information on this particular stock, and it's going to let us know the float size according to TradingView. Always fact check that with our scanners on trade ideas, which NUKK is showing 1.2 million down here. GV is now alerting at 125. And NUKK showing the float size on TradingView. Trade type, this is continuation watch. This is so important right here. If there is a trade type listed as a lotto size or scalp type of trade or high risk, that means I need to make adjustments to my size and stop levels, or I need to avoid. If it's continuation watch, then typically I'm holding those lottos for a little bit longer type of move or larger type of percentage gain, and that's because it is on watch for continuation, and we're looking for this type of move that we're seeing on NUKK today. So green candles, bullish, red candles are bearish, very simply put. Major red candles, 52 out of 500. That's a red flag for me, guys. So that means, again, adjust the size. So we have a negative 16% candle in the mix. That's something I want to consider. Right now, the price is not extended. The volume on this current candle is now 10,000 shares. You can see that down here in our volume histogram at the bottom as well. Volume is listed at the bottom on that tag, 15,000, now 20,000. Want to see that get up a little bit. And we have our key pivot as well on the key spotter here, or excuse me, on the trend IQ. We have the key pivots. We have the recent high, which is 1766 up here at the top. And we've got the resistance through 1250. We've already cleared that resistance. That's why it's green. Current resistance is now 1415. That has already cleared. And that's 1415 right here. We need to get back above that. So quick breakdown. NUKK with our indicators. Why I love what we do, guys. This is why I love low float stocks. Typically, you're not going to find something that's going to move like this in the regular market session like NUKK did. This is very impressive. But that being said, that's why we build these indicators, is so that way we don't have to sit there and say, oh man, I missed out, or I didn't trade it, or I wasn't aware. We were well aware of the situation. We had it in our squeeze potential channel. We had it in our alerts this morning on our Find It First scanner, very important scanner to us. And NUKK was alerted at 8:03 a.m. Eastern time at 170. And you can see a very strong move since then, a high of 1766. Guys, if you want to get this indicator, visit bullishboblive.com, and I will see you in our Discord. Thanks, guys.